So we're now on Daf Tzadiches Amid Aleph. And we're talking about the issue of whether a ger is allowed to marry the wife of his brother. Ashes Tashma. Okay, so let's see if we're all on the same page. We're on the bottom of Tzadiches Amid Aleph. And we are 3 lines up before the end of the Yom, correct? Tashma. Ger shohayaledaso b'kedusha v'horaso shelo b'kedusha. So it means that his mother converted before his birth. Do we know anything about the father? Let's assume the father is out of the picture. Yeshlo she'er ha'em v'enlo she'er ha'av. So as far as being related to other members of his family, this ger is going to be generated arayas, these are arayas mitzad imo, but not mitzad of. He has no relationship to the krovim of his father. So it sounds to me, I mean, again, before we go on, that the answer to our original question about whether the ger is allowed to marry the wife of his brother is being addressed here in this price, but it all depends. Are you talking about two gerim who share the same biological father, or you're talking about 2 gerim who share the same biological mother? Again, you have to add that that's not really an accurate analogy because we're talking about a case of leidas or b'kedusha. But in any event, if we can establish achva min ha'em, then we generate arayas. If we can only establish achva min ha'av, then that's not going to be a kurva. That can't generate arayas. So, for example, if let's say these 2 gerim had the same biological father, but they had 2 different biological mothers, then there would be no erva created by the av. Again, unless it was hora'aso v'leidaso b'kedusha, if the father underwent gerus before these 2 brothers were even conceived. But leaving out that case, so with regard to the father, the main issue is hora'aso, and here it was hora'aso shelo b'kedusha. Therefore, the ger is completely cut off from the relations of his father. And therefore, his brother, even though they share the same biological father, is not called his brother. Therefore, there's no erva that's generated of Eishes Ach. But if they were both born to the same mother, it seems like it depends. If the mother was miskayer before they were born, then you have achva min ha'em. But if, on the other hand, it was leidaso shelo b'kedusha, even though we know that these 2 brothers have the same biological mother, but the halacha calls them kikatan shenolad dami, and if there's no erv, that's what I'm assuming. But let's go on in the brisa because I sort of cut off the brisa in the middle. Ketzah. What's the case? That yesh lo shera ha'em ve'en lo shera av. Nasa achoso min ha'em. So the ger marries his biological sister. He shares the same mother.
She was after she was born beforehand. She shared this. Rashi says that she was and no matter whether she converted, she was born before.
But he and his sister were both born after conversion? Ah,
so she
so
was born
after.
So she converted after, with her, well, when the Malik converted, she converted. So
okay, but the main issue is that as far as her creation is concerned, you follow me, her birth, she was born out of Judaism, right?
Sure. Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And therefore, he's not related to his sister, even though they share the same mother.
Because
Shenoladam. Yotzi. I'm assuming this is some sort of Darabanan.
What's Rashi says?
Yotzi. I'm just trying to figure it out on my own. Yotzi. In other words, we're not going to allow this marriage relationship to continue simply because they share the same mother, biological mother. So he says here, Yesh Lakshosh, if we'd allow this marriage to continue, Shemayova Loses Gamis Achoso, Shenoldo Leimo, Achar Sheniskai. Bachot Zu, Yesh Lav Itza Kores, Binisuel. In other words, he or anybody is not going to differentiate between the fact that the sister was born before the Gerus as opposed to a sister that was born after the Gerus. In his mind, they're both, or in the spectator's mind, they're both sisters. And in the case where his sister was born after the Gerus, that is an erva of Achos, of Achosa. Why? Because they share the same mother. In a Jewish sense. I mean, they share the same mother after Gerus. Let's just figure that out. She was inspired, and now she has both a boy and a girl. So that's Achos, Dorais. But 1 second. Does it matter whether it was Horah? See, if it was Horah, no qualms about that. That's posh. I'm just wondering, is it enough to create Achba if the Leda was after Gerus of the mother? I mean, even if the Horah. That's what I don't know. Because he says that this case is a gzera onto the case of Achosa Shenoldo Li Achashinskai. That's what we're afraid of. But I don't know, he seems to be putting all the emphasis on Leda. I'm just wondering out loud if that's enough to create an Isakaris Doraisa, if they were both, he and she, the brother and the sister, born after the Gerus. Or do we go back in time to the Horah? He seems to put all the emphasis on Leda, but I don't know if he's dafka. Wait a second. We're trying to explain the Bryce. The Bryce is the case of Horasa Shlo B'Kedusha. Isn't that explicit? Yeah, that's how the Bryce opens. They dosa B'Kedusha, Horasa Shlo B'Kedusha. So Yeshlo She'er Aim. Ketzad Nosa Chosim Aim. Yotzi. Why is it Yotzi? Because we're afraid of a case of Noldo Liachar Gerus. not sure the Doraisi. I mean, I see it, the Rabbanan, I understand.
She said that, you're saying that the rice, it's okay, it's not.
Right, but what is the Xera is X or to Y? Y is the Doraisa. I'm just not sure what the Doraisa is. Is the Doraisa because he and she were born after the Gerus of the mother? Or is it relevant as to whether or not the Hora was before or after the Gerus? That's what I can't figure out. You understand? I'm just going back to the Doraisa. I want to know what the Torah law is. How do two children, a boy and a girl, on a Doraisa level considered a choso? Is it simply a matter of the fact that the mother was misguided before the leda of the boy and the girl, or do I have to add another condition into the equation that the hora of the boy and the girl took place before? I'm sorry, after the gerus, or the hora is irrelevant. Once we have leidasa b'kedusha on a doraisa level, that makes them brother and sister. I'm not 100% clear on that. All right, but anyway, this case is certainly derabanan, and the gzera was atu achoso shenolda li'achar sheniskai. Now let's go on. A man is a ger and he marries his sister mina'ah. Again, who is the av? If the av is a ger, then it could be that they are sister and brother, but that might depend on the status of his wife, the mother of these children. Again, we're talking about a case where the father was a guy, and these two children, the boy and the girl, are biological children of the father, but the father's a guy, and therefore there's no kurva, there's no erev relationship between the brother and the sister. So Yekayim, we're going to allow this marriage to go on. I don't know if in secular law they would allow such a marriage. I don't know. You'd have to Google that. Every country's probably. A man marries his sister. I suspect that in most states in the union that would be prohibited. Any states that would allow it? Not even Arizona? What confuses me here is what's the status of the mother? The father is a guy. There are two different mothers. Right, so there's a common father, but two different mothers. And the father was a guy. Now, would it make any difference if the father underwent gerus before the leda? So there was hora, then there was gerus of the father, then there was leda. Not sure.
It seemed like before there was gerus after the hora, as far as inheritance, they're attached, but as far as relationship.
He writes here in a note, Ein ligzar ba, in this case where the father's a guy and the brother marries his sister, Ein ligzar ba shema yovo loseis games achoso shenodali aviv the isha acheres, right? So they're brothers and sisters, but they don't share the same mother, but they were born li'achar shenisgaya. Yeah, but the mothers are not Jewish, am I right? So the father was misguided, married a woman, and then second. So in this case, there would be there would be a status of brother and sister if they were born after the gerus of the father. I'll read it again. Ein ligzar ba shema yovel says gamas achosa shenolda li aviv mi isha cheres achar shenizkar. Fisha gamim yisa osa lo yavar al iser. In other words, for the brother and sister to be related, they have to share the same father. That means the child is related to the father. But in this case, the father would not be related to the son. The son is not the son of his father. Because Nodali Aviv, Nodali Aviv le'achashin is Gayer, Nodali Aviv le'achashin is Gayer. I'm assuming it's Horasa Shalom B'Kedusha. I don't know. He doesn't spell it out. Let's see the Rashi. Does Rashi spell it?
You married a Jewish woman in the sky, you married someone else and had a child. Half sister to the brother, but the brother because automatically brother and sister.
They are brother and sister, no?
Automatically they're not.
Because what? He was
Because he was
Misgayer
Misgayer.
after the Horah? I guess he's talking about a case of Horasa Shalom B'Kedusha. Right?
Would have.
Zachoso shenoldo li aviv meisha cheres achar shenizgayer is gamim yiso so lo yavar iso. Because again, it was Horasa Shalom B'Kedusha. I mean, you have to say that. I wish you would have spelled that out. Where's David? You were telling me about a Rashi. Which Rashi?
Rashi was
That's about 10 lines up or 12 lines up. No, oh, Mina Av Yikan. Let me take a look at that, Rashi. Mina Av Yikan. So we have a brother and sister that share the same father, and they married each other. Akol Yodim, the Ein Av li Ove Kochav. The Inami Osi Lemitzav Bas Oviv. Sheyolid Meisha Cheres, Mishin is Gayer. So if Aslan, Holav Benovu. Yeah, Rashi doesn't spell it out either. I was hoping Rashi would say, or also, but I think that's what Rashi means. I think everyone agrees to that. All right. Now, Achos Ha'av Min Ha'em. So now this ger is marrying his aunt. Is that correct? Achos Ha'av Min Ha'em. This is his father's sister, but she and his father share the same mother. So this is going to be a problem, correct? Why? Because we just finished saying, let's go back to the Brisa, that Yesh lo she'er ein. Correct? You remember that? Yesh lo she'er ein. So if Yesh lo she'er ein, then his mother's sister No, it's not his mother's sister, it's his father's sister. You didn't want to correct him because you didn't want to embarrass him. We're talking about his father's sister. So if it's his father's sister, then we're going to apply the principle of Emo She'er Ah. So why is Yotzi? They were here. Mishum Achoso Me'imo. Ah. If we allow him to be married to his father's sister, then he'll come to be married to his mother's sister. Which means that what? That his mother's sister was born. 1 second. Mishum Achoso Me'imo. Achoso Me'imo.
Talking about first year.
Now what? Achoso
If the
Me'imo.
brother and sister share the same father, then you couldn't marry your aunt. That was
Right, but here in this case, what we're saying is that if it's Av, then we should say he's allowed to marry her because what do we say again? The principle is Ein Lo She'er Av. But what is the problem? That not Achos of Av Mina Aim. Case here again. I want to get the case now. I'm sorry. It's his aunt Min Ha'aim. Min Ha'aim. Again, it's his aunt on his father's side. So what happens is his aunt on his father's side is only a maternal sister to his father. Is that what it means?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Maternal sister. Ein achos aviv elo mi'imo. Yotzi. It's really, it's his father's sister, but we're worried about his mother's sister. Now, why is his mother's sister related to his? Did the mother undergo gerus? I think we're going to have to say the mother underwent gerus. She underwent gerus, and she has a sister, and that sister was also born. This is a second. Confused there. Who underwent gerus? Are we going back a generation, or it's his mother that underwent gerus? Is his grandmother or his mother? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Achotzo me'imo, shenoldo li'acher she'imo is gairo. Again, is there an erva of achos avi? Yeah, the applies even to a good. It's really interesting. I don't think any state of the union that would prohibit that. Right? Can you? I'm just curious. You can marry your sister, your father's sister. No, you can't marry your father's sister. That's good news in a sense, because I think that's one of the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, that a guy is not allowed to marry his father's sister. And it doesn't matter whether it's his father's sister or it's his mother's sister. Second. Yeah. I'm going to go over this one more time. I'm sorry, I apologize. It's so hard for me to get this down. He says I should look in diagram number Kuf, Tuf Kuf Nun. Wow, what a complicated diagram. I'll read it slowly here. Lemech Goy Nosa es Sila Goya Violdalo es Yaval. Ulitzila od bas migoy acher. B'nosa Yaval isha goya v'nis abra. Nisgaira ishto shel Yaval v'nikra shma b'Yisrael Sarah. V'chein achoso shel Yaval me'imo Sila Nisgaira v'nikra shma b'Yisrael Rivka. Noldu l'Sara Nolad l'Sara ben Shenis Abra bo Bikoden. Even Shalidasa Bikdusha, Rehu Ki Yisrael Ushmo Ruven. Nasa Ruven is Rivka, Achos Aviv Mina Aim. Sharei Mina Torah Ina Suralo Mishum Shegershin Iskar Kukot. You don't have this diagram, do you? I think if we want to, we have to we're at a crossroads here. Honestly, either we have to photocopy these diagrams and go through them one by one, or we have to somehow maybe skip to the next Mishnah, or I don't know what. Because there's no way we can. Every single line in the Gemara is another. Well, what do you vote? I'll ask you for a vote. This is the part of Yevamos that's a killer. I mean, just take a look. Just to give you an idea of how complicated it gets. We're on now Daf Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph. Look at Tzadi Ches Amud Beis. Look at this diagram. Now we're trying to do this diagram. Very confusing. No, it's for the kind of mind that I have to. And this is what we're going to be looking at another foreign diagram. So we'll finish this on and get to the beginning of the next one. There's another 3 diagrams here. I'm hoping that it'll go a little easier after we. So do you want to? I think. So I'm gonna stop here because honestly, I don't have much chance of success without this. Okay, well, we're gonna stop here. Wish you a great day.
Okay.